actually changed. I've got to reprint this sheet. It's at Momental, and then I changed the name to Kristy the Painter, and then you can find me on YouTube at Kristy Rice, and of course momentaldesigns.com and KristyRice.com, and you can actually get involved in the Art for Joy's Sake community with the hashtag there at the bottom. So definitely check us out there. Okay, perfect. So just wanted to chat, and again, I'm going to keep it short because nobody wants to hear a talking head for too long. So I just wanted to kind of go through the Art for Joy's Sake mission. Feel free, if I'm saying anything that speaks to you, feel free to give me some love with hearts. And guys, ask questions for sure. Chime in. You might have ideas, excuse me, to add into this. So feel free to just interrupt and jump in at any point. So what I want to talk about is this Art for Joy's Sake. And if you go on Instagram, and you can also, off-topic question, were you able to upload your video with Laura? Oh my gosh, I had quite the debacle with uploading that video. I had recorded it, and it recorded with no sound. And the question was about a Periscope that I did with Laura Casey a few months back, and I had tried to record it, and it recorded with no sound. I actually reached out to the folks at Periscope, and I actually begged them and pleaded with them, and then I kind of harassed them a little bit to make my video available again, and they would not. So sadly, that video is lost forever, but once it was a good show. It was so good. It was so good. I'm so bummed. But once Laura is done with her book and back in working order after the adoption, maybe we will have her again, and I will definitely record it that time. You can catch the one with Lynn Stevens. That was really cool and definitely worth watching again because it was really deep and really dense with information. So check that one out on YouTube. So, and I am totally fine with the off-topic questions, guys. So have at it. So what I was going to say is, yeah, check that out for sure. It was a good one. If you go on Instagram and this is backwards, I know, but Art for Joy's Sake hashtag, we've got almost 400 images going on, and you can just check out what people are doing to the end of Art for Joy's Sake and what they're loving and what they're enjoying. So anyway, yeah, it was the first Skype I had seen. Oh, that's cool. Oh, wow. Good. That's awesome. Okay, guys. So anyway, Art for Joy's Sake is something that I came up with in the fall of last year, and really what it is all about. 40 of them are mine. Yes, I know. Just subscribe. Great. Yes, there's a lot of great content on YouTube, guys. Check it out. That has nothing to do with, there's a lot of invitation videos on there. Really cool stuff that's been on there for a while. So check it out. And we are building content as we speak. So yes, we have some very dedicated Art for Joy's Sake contributors, and I am so thrilled and grateful for you guys. I really am. This mission is very small and it's just getting up off the ground, but honestly, we hope to have it grow because I feel like we have a lot to offer. So anyway, back to Art for Joy's Sake, just in a nutshell. Basically what Art for Joy's Sake is all about is creating time and carving out time in your day. Maybe it's not every day, but we hope every day, to enjoy or create art. Literally and simply for the sake of finding joy. I'm a big believer in the difference between joy and happiness. Happiness is fleeting. Happiness is something that comes when your circumstances are awesome. Things are going good at work, family's healthy and everybody's happy. Maybe, you got a bonus at work. That's happiness. And there's nothing wrong with happiness. There's nothing at all wrong with happiness. We all want it. However, joy, hi. Oh, it's good to see you. Joy is something very different from happiness. And the thing I love about joy is that it can be with you and stay with you regardless of your circumstances. So you can find joy. For me, my joy, regardless of my happiness, whether it's there or not, my joy comes from my faith, from God above, and from my artwork. And those things are really hard to shake for me. My faith it would be very hard to shake. And me creating artwork and enjoying art and surrounding myself with art is something that stays and it lasts. So regardless of what's going on in my life and what's making me smile or not, I can still have joy. And that's what Art for Joy's Sake is all about. So it's really my mission to help people understand how they can find that joy. Oh, thank you. How they can find that joy through art making, of course, but also just surrounding yourself with art and experiencing art. So that is the mission. So today, I want to talk about, I just gifted someone a handmade watercolor sketchbook. Amen. There you go. That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much, Maida, for always being so supportive. I love it. And I love your spirit and love your heart. Yes. So now that we know what Art for Joy's Sake is, hoping to get her addicted. Amen. Yes. Who's it for? And the answer to that question, I'm not going to say everyone because it's not. You can find your joy in many other things than art. But you're here today and you're tapping the screen and giving love to what I'm talking about today because you have some sort of curiousness about artwork. Yay, hearts, yay. Yes, you're here for a reason and you're here because you have some connection to art in some way. So I'm speaking to you. So it's for adults who need to disconnect. It's for adults that need to get off of this and not spend all of their free time, the little micro moments of your day that we are spending on this phone. It's for those adults that need to get away from this. Yes, absolutely. It's your art. I figured that's what you meant. It's for teenagers who need a creative outlet. There's so much stress in those years, and some of you may be, preach it, may be parents to teenagers, and it really can be an outlet for them. I'll go back to Laura Casey. I love her. She's such a good friend, and she talks about even her little girl, Gracie, who is, gosh, how old is Gracie? 4. She helps her paint. She helps her work on her to-do lists and her tending lists, and she paints on them. So, Art for Joy's Sake isn't just for the adults. We can teach our children how to really find peace in that activity. It's parents who need a fun activity, just like I mentioned with Laura Casey, to do with their children. It's for entrepreneurs, 100%. Thanks for the hearts, guys. The entrepreneurs out there that are just completely overwhelmed and they're doing 10 different jobs every day, day in, day out, and they need a little outlet. It's for them too. And also it's just for moms. Art for Joy's Sake can be for moms who just need a timeout. Maybe they get it once a month if they're lucky, but they need it. So here's the big question. How in the world do I make time for this? And what does it look like? What does making art or experiencing art for joy's sake, what does it look like? I'm trying to find the joy I loved coloring for hours as a child, losing myself in simple pleasure. And that is such a key point, losing yourself. I call that the magic moment. I've always called it that. Even when I was, a young child painting, it's that moment where you're sketching, you're doodling, you're painting, and guys, it doesn't have to be a masterpiece. Literally, it can be doodles. It's that moment where your brain shifts, and all of a sudden, you're sketching and thinking about the day and worrying about this and thinking about dinner that has to be made, and then all of a sudden something happens. You're half an hour into this thing, and you haven't thought about anything else but what you're working on. That's the joy. That's the moment. And that's what I want you guys to find. It's that magic moment, getting lost in something. So it's a simple idea, but I think we've forgotten about that idea. I was reading news feeds. I was on Huffington Post, half a day. Yes. Transformed corner of your bedroom. Amber, I'm going to be speaking to that, and I want you to chime in on that and how you made time and how you did that, because I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. I was reading through the news feeds on Huffington Post, on Pop Sugar, and I was on something else. And there's this word that's been in our vocabulary forever. It's called mindfulness. But there are all these articles on how to be mindful. And there's all these articles on being mindful and how it can transform your life. But mindfulness has been around forever. It's not anything new, but the difference is we have forgotten how to be mindful. And that's why this mindful trend is coming up now, because we've all forgotten how to do it. We've all forgotten how to be in the moment. We've all forgotten how to put this down. We've all forgotten how to not, yes, thanks for the hearts. Tap that screen, right? Because you know it. We've all forgotten how to not rely on this for keeping ourselves active or busy or checking off the to-do list. We've forgotten how to be mindful. I said to my husband the other day, I can't believe there are articles out there about mindfulness as some new big fancy thing. But it's because we've forgotten how to do it. So Art for Joystick is about mindfulness. It's about being in that moment that you've created for yourself, that you've carved out time for, and really owning that moment. So, so how do we make time? How do we make time to do this? And what do we do to enjoy art even if we don't want to make art? So I wrote a list down of a couple of things that we can do. Now, of course, you can sketch. You can buy yourself a cheap sketchbook at Michael's. You can pick up a ruled notebook. It doesn't even have to be a sketchbook, and you can doodle. You can draw flowers, hearts, stars, dots, whatever you want to do, and you'll be surprised. Just that can make a difference. You can arrange flowers. You can go buy a cheap $6 bouquet of flowers and put them on your table. That's art. That's enjoying art for joy's sake. If you have a mantle in your house, there's something I love to do. I have a fireplace with a mantle. I love to decorate it. I love to change it up, make it look different and fun, and fill it with heirlooms and different art prints. Everything is a choice. Oh my gosh, guys, can you take a screenshot of that? Everything is a choice. Amber, I'm going to call on you in like a minute and a half, I promise, because you've got some things to say. Take your kids' crayons out and doodle. Pick up your camera, even if it's your camera on your phone. This is a good reason to pick up your phone. Instead of taking pictures of your kids, or instead of taking, we love our kids, of course, but go outside and try to capture a really interesting composition. That's making art for joy's sake. Go to Michael's. This palette, guys, this palette is a dream. It's not what I use, but let me tell you, go to Michael's. It's $4.99 or $6.99, one of those. They have one for $4.99. And it's got good color, good saturation. Pick up a decent brush, spend about $3 on a brush. I don't care if you've ever picked up watercolor palette before. Pick this up and just use it. Just try it. Just get these pans wet. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the hearts. Pick the palette up. Put some water in these pans and just enjoy. Just have fun. Just mess around. Just make a mess. The Art of Homemaking. Guys, there you go. Read The Art of Homemaking. So that's another way to make art for joy's sake, is just dive in. If you do want to do, it's not what it sounds like. If you do want to do something artistic, specifically, it's a great way. Go to Michael's, give yourself a $10 budget, and walk out of there with something that you can use. Here's one that I love. Go to the discount section of Barnes & Noble, go online, Books A Million, whatever, and give yourself a budget. I don't care if it's $5. Buy an art book. Buy something that looks interesting and dive into it and just look and read and learn more. And another thing you can do, get together with friends. Maybe it's once a month. Maybe it's once a quarter. Bargain Books rock at Barnes & Noble. That's exactly right. You can find a really cool art book there for really cheap. And it's maybe something you would never, ever consider buying, but you walk by and you're like, oh, that cover looks interesting. Buy it. Yeah, absolutely. So cheap. Yes, we want this to be cheap. Make sugar flowers. Ooh, I love that idea because Michael's has an aisle where you can get some fondant, right? And you can make sugar flowers. I love it. See, that's perfect. Guys, what else? What am I missing? What am I missing? What can we do? I don't want you to just think about this as painting or drawing or sketching gum paste. There you go. What else can people do to, get involved in creative activities that can find them some joy? Anybody else have any ideas? Jenna? Oh, henna tattoos. I'm thinking you're thinking henna tattoos. Yes, henna tattoos. Perfect. And I'm sure there's art kits out there for that. Make flowers from your hubby's old shirt gardening. Okay, this is awesome, guys. So seriously, this is art for joy's sake. And I want you to remember all of these things. Paper sculpture, amen, embroidery, doodle your walls. I doodle my walls. I saw that you do that, and I do that too. Origami. Yeah, guys, there's kits for all this. Buy the kits that the kids use. Who cares? They're cheap. They're $5-7 a pop. Buy those and use them. So I want you to remember all of these things that we're talking about Sewing. There you go. I wish I could sew. I'm really bad at it. I like got a D in sewing. Oh my gosh. Collect things from nature. Absolutely. Absolutely. So remember all of these because you're going to need to put them into action if you want to participate in our awesome giveaway. Doodle your baby too. Yes, I don't think anybody would want to see that doodle because I'm not so good at the portraits, but I could try. So the big question I know you guys all have probably is how do I make time for this? And the two words that I have for you, well, your painting definitely takes care of the fact that you can't sew. Well, thank you. That makes me feel a little better. Yeah. My husband can sew a sock and put a button on. I cannot. That's embarrassing, but there you go. Thanks for the hearts, guys. I really appreciate it. Yeah, guys, if you want to invite any of your friends to this, you can still invite them. They can still get in on the giveaways that I have planned. Just tap that little guy at the bottom and you can invite any of your followers on Twitter or anybody that you follow or follows you on Periscope. So the next big question, we've talked about what is art for Joystick. I think we have a good handle on that. We've talked about how can I enjoy the creative process if I don't necessarily want to create art, paint, draw, that kind of thing. I think we've covered a lot of amazing topics. So the next big question, and probably the most important one, is how do I make time for art for Joystick? Absolutely, yes, of course, the coloring books. I didn't want to do a plug, but yes, the coloring books, they are everywhere. They're in your grocery store, they're in Lowe's, they're in Home Depot, they're in bookstores, of course. They are everywhere. And a lot of them are really cheap. You can pick those up and just color away or just steal your kids' coloring book. Who cares? You know, they won't miss it. So the biggest thing, how can I make time for this process? I want to find joy. I want to relax. I want to disconnect. But I may only have 5 minutes a day for it, if that. Maybe I only have 5 minutes 3 times a week. So my big thing is be ready. How do we be ready? And I'm probably going to have someone chime in here, and by all means chime in. I want you to set up a sanctuary somewhere in your home. I'm going to call it an art sanctuary because I just think that sounds cool and we needed a word for it. So set up an art sanctuary in your home. I would recommend your kitchen because for most of us, the kitchen is kind of the hub and it's the place you are most, which sounds maybe a little counterproductive because you'd think you'd want a quiet space away from everybody, but no, because if it's a quiet space away from everyone, take time off of Pinterest to make your own art. Amen. That's such a big part of all this is to pull yourself out of all those other things that are taking up your time. Yeah. So if you make this art sanctuary in a place that's inaccessible, you're going to be less and less and less likely to go there. So I would recommend, and Laura Casey does this, set this art sanctuary up in your home. And literally, it can be your cheap palette from Michael's. It can be your, of course I don't have a brush. I have one of these brushes. It can be your brush, cheap palette from Michael's, and a small, even a postcard size little book of watercolor paper. And it can be shoved in a drawer. That's your art sanctuary. There's no mystery. There's no big deal to it. Just having your materials accessible. Remember I had told you to go, yes, make them accessible. I mentioned going and buying an art book. Why don't you pick up a couple postcard books? They're literally 4x6, the size of a postcard. Always in your bag, amen. If you pick up a couple postcard books, maybe you're not into drawing, and that's okay. You can shove those in your purse, you can put them in the diaper bag, and you'll have them wherever you go. Put one in the glove compartment of your car, and if you're waiting for the car to get the oil changed or whatever it may be, pull that out, sit in the waiting room, and there you go. Done. So the biggest thing you can do is make space and make time. So that is one of the things that I do. My husband and I, our living room is kind of our sanctuary at home. We're in it all the time, more so than the kitchen. Thanks for the hearts, guys, so much. We have a table in between our chairs where we sit. Come with me everywhere. Yes, absolutely. I will put whatever it is that I'm wanting myself to work on that's for fun. I will put right on that table. I will put it in the middle of everything to the point that it's in the way and annoying because 9 times out of 10, that forces me to work on it. And I will say this, in the beginning, this may feel a smidge like a chore. I'm going to be honest. This may feel a smidge like a chore. But I promise you that within a couple of days, you will just be elated. And you will realize very quickly how much you value the time that you have to experience art and create art. And literally, it only takes a few minutes a day. A few minutes, I promise you. So the big thing is be ready and make space. Someone mentioned carrying their sketchbook, their pens, whatever around with them in a bag. I do that. I've done that for years. I have it, I go as far as I have a travel watercolor set. Oh, thanks for coming back, Amber. We were just talking about being ready and making an art sanctuary in your home. So if you have anything to speak, anything else to speak to that end, that would be great. I was just saying that we really need to make the space, make the time, and make the place to create art. Yes, absolutely. And that is the key. And the other thing I mentioned is making an art sanctuary in a place that's accessible in your home, and not necessarily thinking that you have to create this art sanctuary in a quiet place that's away from everything else, because we'll be less likely to use it. So just a little recap there. So yeah, guys, any questions? Anybody want to chime in? That is really what I had to say today, besides, jumping into the giveaway right now. I made a corner studio with a folding table in my bedroom, so it's always ready. My portable bag of tricks. Yes, I can. And that's awesome. I love the folding table. Honestly, that's really funny because I use folding tables all the time. We have them in our room. Pictures on my website. Awesome, guys. Go check out Amber's website. Take a screenshot if you want. Amber, if you could list your website for everybody and everybody can take a screenshot, that would be awesome. But I love the folding table idea, and I'm just grabbing my stuff here because they're mobile and you can take them anywhere. So I do use folding tables in my home. So this little guy here is something that I want to learn the basics of watercolor. Do you have tutorials? Mary, yes. Or is it Marisol? I'm so sorry. I do offer watercolor workshops, and I do offer a basic course. It looks like AmberLynnBenton.com. There you go, guys. Check out her site, please. It sounds like Amber already has had a lot of great things to say, so I think heading to her website is going to be really awesome. So the question was, do we have tutorials? So we do have a couple tutorials that are just kind of demonstrations on our YouTube channel. And then we do have watercolor workshops. We just had a few in November of last year, and we're going to be doing them again, it looks like, in March. So definitely, if you want to be notified of any of those, go to KristyRice.com and sign up for our email newsletter. You have 6 boys and you know what making choices. Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh my gosh. You know better than most of us on here, I think. So go to KristyRice.com, sign up for an email newsletter, and you will be the first to know about any workshops or things like that. So great. So this is my little travel palette that I've actually made recently. Scheduled 1 painting day a week in my progress journal that got me into daily painting. Yes, love it. Love it. And this is really thin. It's only about just under a ½ an inch thick. And then inside is my palette. And there are enough colors in here that I can, I don't feel limited at all when I'm using this palette. Not at all. And to be honest, brushes, because that's my biggest problem with traveling. I don't want my brushes to get damaged. So the brush that I will take with me, and I'll show you how I take it with me, it's a 1/4 inch Royal and Langnickel dagger. You can get them on Mr. Art, MisterArt.com. They are currently sold out. However, you can sign up to be emailed when they're back in stock. And guys, this is what I do. I stick one in my hair because I don't like to put it in my bag because the bristles get crushed. And so I've just, over the years, you'll find me more often than not, I have paintbrushes in my hair. You can do it with pencils too. So that's what I do. Another great idea though is if you just have a little pouch on the outside of your purse, just stick your brush in there with the bristle side up. Thanks. So they don't get flattened or, you know, bent in any way. Yeah, I know. My husband, he used to be embarrassed because I would, you know, go out, we'd be out to dinner, and he'd be like, how many brushes do you have in your hair? And I'd be like, I don't know. Thank you so much. You can, my dad, I can thank him for my thick hair. He's got the thick hair. My mom too, but now he thinks it's cute and endearing, so whatever. So yeah, that is, this is really kind of my little quote unquote bag of tricks, my little travel palette. We're still thinking about making these and making them available for sale. Just haven't quite gotten there yet. And of course the Royal and Langnickel brush. And the reason this brush is so great for travel is because you only need one brush, because you've got a nice pointed edge, but then, let me see if I can try to show this. Really nice point. This brush comes to a really nice point, but then you can also spread out the bristles and get a lot of coverage. There you go. All right. Any other questions before I dive into the giveaways, guys? Any more questions at all? Tie a brush to a piece of card larger than the actual brush and then put it in a separate pouch. Perfect. Thank you. That is the perfect advice. Perfect. So if you guys didn't hear it, because we were talking about how to carry a brush with you so it doesn't get damaged, and I will answer this question now too, is to tie the brush to another piece of paper, like a cardstock that is bigger than the brush, and then you can store it in a bag without the bristles getting damaged. The question is, where did I get the travel palette? So I made this palette. I made it out of a vintage Lucky Strike cigarette tin, and I actually did pure pigment watercolor in here, and these are just sponges cut to size to fill up the rest of the space. So that's why I mentioned we were thinking about making these. There are a couple Etsy sellers. If you go on Etsy and you search travel palette or tin palette or mini palettes, there are a couple places on there, thank you, that are doing these. I cannot, however, speak to the quality of the watercolor they're using, the watercolor pigment, because a lot of them don't list the brands that they're using. So I can't speak to the quality. Yeah, I know, I love this. It's so cute. I love it. So anyway, so we know what Art for Joystick is, guys. It's just about carving out time and making time in your already crazy day, forsaking some other things that aren't as important, and making room for art making and art enjoying in your life. Who needs it? We all do in some way, but for those of us who are art curious, watercolor curious, adults that need to disconnect, parents that need a fun activity with their kids, that's who it's for. And it doesn't have to just be art and painting. It can be arranging flowers or embroidery or, like you said, photography. Going out and buy the kids' art kits for yourself and just enjoy it. The coloring books, of course, ours will be out soon, yay. And then how do you make time? Be ready and create a sanctuary for yourself in your home, and make sure you have something in your bag or in your car so you can really capture. It's all about capturing those tiny micro moments that otherwise get wasted here. If you have time to be on here, you have time to be here. All right? Okay, great. So, the giveaways. So, what? Yay! The giveaways, yes. So, what we're going to